The movie If is directed by the famous John Krasinski, featuring John Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds, Kaylee Fleming, and many other great voice actors. It revolves around a child journeying to rediscover her imagination and her imaginary friends. And Jerem has a funny story for you.
We recorded this already. Here is us. Look at us. We did that. But we didn't have any sound for some of it. But for some of it we did. So we're going to be doing like a reaction to some of what we were able to record. And then we're going to talk about If, the rest of it.
Perfect.
In between. So welcome to Boltage Bros podcast. We're talking about If.
Perfect. Let's roll into the first clip.
Well,
then.
let's go. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the first clip of us talking a week ago. I got to find the part where it actually worked, which was
right
when
there.
there was a screen on there.
Right.
So here we go.
Perfect.
Oh,
And
now.
the cast was just so long. I think John Krasinski just has a huge pull, right?
yeah.
So he's in it, right? John Krasinski, Kaylee Fleming, Ryan Reynolds, Emily Blunt, Steve Carell, Awkwafina, Blake Lively, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, Bradley Cooper, George Clooney, and there's a lot more great actors in there, but wow.
Check them out. I have them up on screens. Look at all those A-list actors.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You don't see them all because they are imaginary friends and they're animated, but quite the cast. And I do have that will come back later in one of my thoughts.
Right.
All right, that's the first clip. Lots of
about the
amazing
cast.
actors. It's crazy.
I think we talked about it after that, or at least I did, where I was talking about how it sounded like I was very familiar with the voices, but I couldn't place the names, and I had to look it up after. Specifically Steve Carell, right? Because what's the name of the purple guy?
Blue,
right? Up there. But yeah, like throughout the whole movie, I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? I know this voice. I know it. I do. And then I looked it up afterwards, and I was like, gosh darn it. It's Steve Carell.
Nice. Yeah, it was really crazy how many actors are in it, but you just don't see their face.
Right.
I said that I would move on to another point there later on, and I got to it later on in the video, but I'll just say it now instead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be really cool if the imaginary friends that the people had were voiced by the actors that had the imaginary friend.
Right, exactly.
So imagine if Steve Carell showed up instead of whoever the other actor was, to who was the bearer of the imaginary friend.
Right.
The voice of Steve Carell.
Yeah. Would have been awesome.
Yeah. So I guess overall, going into the movie, I was not prepared to watch a movie like this because the trailers made it seem like it was way more kid-like.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about how whether it's a kid's movie or an adult movie, and I said that I think it goes a little bit too far towards the adult movie to where it starts to be a little bit boring, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I talked about how it was trying to be an old Pixar film where it found that perfect balance where adults love it, and kids also love it, but for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it didn't do either. It just fell flat on both ends.
Right. Yeah. I was looking around in the audience trying to see who was there, and
Mhm.
there was usually an adult with a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't hear much laughter from
From either.
anyone,
Yeah.
which was weird because I went and watched the trailer afterwards.
Mhm.
Just recently, it popped up and I watched it for some reason, and it had like all the jokes in it,
Mhm.
and it makes it seem like it's a really funny movie.
Yeah. But that's
But
all the jokes in the whole movie.
but yeah, and those jokes didn't really actually land
No.
for the most part.
Right. We brought some kids ourselves, and we brought 3 of them, and all 3 of them talked about how excited they were for the marshmallow whose eyes fall off.
Oh, nice, because I
Right.
saw it in the trailer.
Yeah, because they saw it in the trailer, and they thought it was so funny. They were laughing about it on the way there. And then it happened in the movie, and none of them reacted to it at all.
Nice,
No reaction. Zero zilch.
nice. It's definitely not the Minions,
No.
and definitely John Krasinski captures the vision that he wanted to capture,
Mhm.
which is really cool.
Mhm.
And I had my doubts going in because it's so much different. It's so different from watching A Quiet Place.
Mhm.
It's such a different vibe of a movie
Right.
where it's like, what? This is weird. But John Krasinski definitely captures what he wanted to capture. It has that theme throughout the whole time. You know, it has music playing the whole time, which makes it feel kind of dramatic.
Yeah.
And the opening shots are really cinematic.
Mhm.
Everything's very cinematic and very purposeful.
Right.
And so it's definitely a work of art.
Mhm.
And John Krasinski did what he wanted to do,
Mhm.
which for me was quite boring.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't. What he wanted to do didn't quite reach the audience. Mhm.
Right.
It wasn't impactful in the way that I think he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was for some people,
Yeah.
but for me, not so much.
Yeah, same for me.
Should we go on to the next clip?
Yeah, let's
see,
go on to the
see
next
what
clip.
we talked about. Oh, there's you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's skip forward to another one of these. So
Right
right
there.
here is where we talked about what John Krasinski directed. Let's see.
Yeah.
We got If, we got Quiet Place Part 1 and Part 2.
Right.
And those are the
Oh,
two
let's
that I
make
knew
sure we can
about.
hear that.
So let's connect.
We have to change our aux cord around, guys. If you like and subscribe, we can pay for a better setup.
Yeah, we're slowly building the studio.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. And then let's see. Let's click this to make sure that this is actually something that he did direct. The Hollers comedy romance.
Mm.
I don't know. I gotta find out. So yeah, we gotta check that one out.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I said it at
Hollers.
the exact same time as you with the Hollers. I don't know what that is.
I think that's really the only thing we talked about. Was
Okay.
He did The Quiet Place. He did The Hollers, which we've never heard of. But
Did it say a
cool.
romantic comedy?
Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah, we gotta check it out.
Yeah. If any of you guys have seen it that are watching, let us know what it's about and if it's good. Because we have not heard anything about it, so I assume that it's not that good. But I could be wrong. So let me know.
Okay, just skimming through here. Oh man.
I don't even know what else we talked about when we pulled up another screen.
Yeah. I think we are talking about the other main actor.
Oh, Kaylee.
There we
Kaylee
go.
Fleming. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I remember.
It'll start soon. More thing. Actually, I have one more thing on
'Kay.
my mind. Is Kaylee Fleming. She's the main character.
Right.
That's the actor's name. What'd you think of her?
I was about to ask you that. She was good, but she's very mellow,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's
Oh,
it.
That's it.
Awesome.
Well, I feel like all we're talking about, whenever we pulled up clips, it's something like bad that we thought.
Yeah.
We didn't think the movie was terrible, guys. It's not the worst movie out there.
Ryan Reynolds did a good job with that scene that we were talking about,
Right.
where they come into the mansion and it's not very magical, and then it becomes more magical, and he has to fight off all these imaginary things, and he's
Right.
running into stuff, getting pulled by stuff, and he does a really good job at acting that out and as if everything's real. And I can just see him doing it to nothing, and he just puts everything into it, even though he sees nothing or lots of green screen around him.
Right.
Which is pretty awesome.
Right. Yeah, he did super good at that scene. And the only reason that it's, well, honestly, it's my favorite scene, in my opinion. And it could have been more.
Yeah.
I think you talked about that last time.
Yeah, so I was thinking that it was still missing a little bit of magic.
Right.
The fact that there were only about 15 or less imaginary friends in it kind of kept the story in the pocket, but also didn't world build as much. Yeah. I wanted there to be more Disney magic, so to speak. Right. And even when the magic did start to show up, it just wasn't enough for me.
It wasn't grand. I mean, I think I talked about this last time. Her imagination is very bland.
Yeah.
You know, like this is all being created from her imagination, right? Which is cool. But you would expect a lot more when your imagination can be literally anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
I should have brought this up at the start because it's probably my best point.
Mm-hmm.
But it surprised me that John Krasinski wasn't in the film when I watched the trailer. Mm-hmm. And then he turns out he was.
Right.
And he was the nice dad, which is a great character for him. Mm-hmm. I thought that he would be the main character, because when I saw Ryan Reynolds in the trailer, I thought Ryan Reynolds seems like he's kind of mellow even in this, because I feel like he can be in more over the top movies.
Yeah.
And in this one he's even more mellow.
He plays a more serious character, which is unlike what we're used to.
Right. Yeah. And so I thought that would be for John Krasinski to do. But John Krasinski might not have been able to do that scene as well as Ryan Reynolds did when he was fighting off all the imaginary stuff.
Right.
I thought it was interesting how the main character, kid, comes into the story grumpy, not wanting to be a kid, wanting to be an adult.
Right.
And then she meets the other main character of the story, Ryan Reynolds, who is also grumpy and doesn't want to do what he wants to do.
Right.
And I thought that them both coming into the story grumpy didn't push them to become the characters that they ended up being. Mm-hmm. They just sort of ended up being those characters anyways, without any of that push. So imagine if Ryan Reynolds was the character who was like, "You're here, we can do this," and she's fighting against it the whole time, and then eventually comes around, and
I don't want to. It's not real. Or
right.
Stuff like that.
But
I have to be an adult now.
Instead, she just decides to do it.
Right.
And then or she could have came in happy and excited and had Ryan Reynolds be the one who's grumpy.
Right.
And that's what pushes the character arcs along.
Yeah, exactly.
But events just happened instead, and things kind of rolled along.
There wasn't a conflict to make them better. I can't even... Well, obviously, to progress, to become better, there has to be something causing an issue in a movie, right? And you have to overcome it.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything that she overcame, at least noticeably. Like you said, she just kind of became a kid.
Yeah, there were things that she overcame, but she wasn't pushed to do it. She just did it.
Right, she just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't yeah, she didn't like fight it and then do it. Right. She just was like, okay, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how early on did you know that Ryan Reynolds, spoiler alert, was the imaginary friend
Yeah.
of the main character?
Yeah. I talked about this last time, and then I talked about it with my wife later, on how I thought it was just common knowledge.
Mhm.
And she was at the same point as me, is when it was before the imagination scene. They were talking to the teddy bear, and Ryan Reynolds is there, and he's all grumpy and whatnot. And then the teddy bear is like, he wasn't always this way. His whole job used to be to make you happy.
Mhm. So
Right?
right at the very start.
Right. And then I remember thinking, oh, that's her imaginary friend. Okay, now the audience knows this. We all know this. And my wife, exact same thing. But she thought that and thought, man, she really didn't have much of a reaction, though. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
She just kind of, And so then when the reveal happens, I was like, wait, this is a reveal? I thought this was like knowledge.
Yeah, and everyone
Yeah.
we went to the movie with found out at different points throughout the story,
Mhm.
as if it was supposed to be something to guess,
Yeah.
but it was also could have been so easy
Yeah.
to guess. So it's interesting. Like, were they trying to make it a big reveal at the end? Because it definitely seemed like it, but for some people, it was just common knowledge right at the start.
Right.
For me, I found out when she started saying to him, "I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't let him go."
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, he's her imaginary friend. And yeah, I turned to my wife and said that, and she's like, yeah. Like,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah. I do wonder, I think maybe we talked about this too. With every imaginary friend, each real life person was reminded of them because of some thing that they used to do. So in the case of Blue, it was, what are they called that you eat?
Coffee and croissants.
Croissants.
Coffee
Yeah.
and croissants.
So they were eating croissants around him, so that started to help him remember.
Mhm.
And then he touched him and said, "You got this," or something like
Yeah.
that. And then he's like, "I do," right? But with I don't remember what's her name in the movie. Kaylee Fleming.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Main character girl.
Main character girl. I don't know what reminded her of him. Just life is hard. Like,
Well, she was
You know what I
still a
mean?
kid.
that's true. But she needed to be reminded that, though. I don't know. Just the fact that it was confusing. Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
other ones?
You were also talking about how there was no point to her for the imaginary friends to disappear and reappear,
Yeah.
except for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
So
Because it doesn't actually tell you why.
yeah,
Like, why can she suddenly not see them?
because she definitely didn't stop believing.
Right. She knew they existed. And she ran into the room immediately after, being like, you're my imaginary friend, right? And then she opens her eyes and they're all, hello, right? But why are they gone?
Yeah, we need to think about some of the good things because we went
Yeah.
on rants.
Well,
Dang it.
I swear last time we talked about some good things first.
Yeah, I said that it was very cinematic,
Yeah.
and then last time I asked you, what did you think about John Krasinski being
Uh-huh.
in his movie? Like, what do you think of him being in his movies?
Mhm. I forget exactly what I said last time, but I think I liked it, right? Pretty
Well,
sure.
You said it was harder to critique, which I
Right.
agree with.
Yeah, because you see the director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it
Well,
was.
we didn't have a problem this time.
Yeah, I said it was like a long YouTube video of just
Mhm.
seeing someone's creation,
Yeah.
and you just appreciate it for what it is, even if you yourself didn't like it
love
as much.
Yeah.
It's still entertaining to see someone's creation come to life,
Mhm.
and it's definitely the way that he wanted to do it,
Yeah.
and which is awesome in itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the creation was great on that aspect of, you said, the thematic aspect, right? The voice actors were great. I do wish he worked more on the story part, making it a little more complex. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It felt boring because there wasn't much to it, as you said. Events just happened.
It was definitely very slow.
Yeah.
And that could have come from the battle between it being a kids movie.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
not.
Like, I think when I talked about this with my wife, like, the teddy bear was the wise teddy bear. He was kind of the figure for leading her along.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would expect him to have more of a meaning in the movie besides just that.
And my wife's theory was that the teddy bear is her mom's imaginary friend.
Yeah.
But apparently in the credits,
they
it shows
show
that it's not.
Yeah, because she writes down all the names and who their person is, and it's some random name.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought about that more, and it's like how far you could have gone with this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was the mom, and let's say she gets to the teddy bear and is like towards the end of the movie, he's talking to him or something, be like, "Man, we still haven't found your person. We got to get you back." And then he says something along the lines of just like, "Sometimes it's too far," or "Sometimes our purposes change," or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because just like, what was the point? I don't. Yeah.
Well, this is quite the interesting video reacting to ourselves. And we ended up probably complaining a little bit more this second time
this
around.
reminded us of it.
Just when, I guess when you sit in something for longer,
Mm-hmm.
you
go down a longer hole.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk good about the movie, and there is lots of good things, as we talked about. But I was just bored.
Yep.
Yep.
So we need to find a movie that we both can talk about and say this is awesome, because we both didn't like The Fall Guy too much.
Yeah. We liked it more than this one.
Yeah. And we didn't like this one as much. We made some trailer reactions, so we're excited for those. So you can go watch those and not be depressed.
Yeah.
But man,
But I think we gave it a grade last time. I think I gave it a C+.
I gave it a C.
Right. So we were both pretty on the same point there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, for those watching, write in the comments what your grade is and why.
And please say something positive in the
Yeah.
comments that you liked about the movie, so we can remember.
What's that rule? 2 positives and 1 negative?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't give us your negatives.
yeah.
I've gotten too many in a row for this now.
Don't give Jeremy negatives. Give me some though.
Yeah. And this has been Boltage Bros podcast. And catch us in our other videos where we review trailers. We go over our top 10 lists. And we reviewed The Fall Guy. So go ahead and check that one out. Subscribe. And check this out. If I go like double thumbs up on the screen, it'll do fireworks. I should.
It's
That's
not
not
working.
working.
That's so sad.
Maybe you do it. Yay!
Oh, it worked. Okay.
There it
Let's
is.
go.
Nice.
Awesome.
So that was
Okay.
you subscribing
And liking.
and liking. Ding.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, this has been Boltage Bros. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.
Peace.